You are sitting in that reclining chair with the bright light shining in your eyes. The dental hygienist hands you a clipboard or a tablet and asks you to update your medical history. You get to the section about current medications. You write down the name of your blood thinner. Maybe it is Warfarin, also known as Coumadin. Maybe it is apixaban, known as Eliquis, or rivaroxaban, known as Xarelto. As you write that name, you feel a knot form in your stomach. You start asking yourself questions. Will I bleed too much during this cleaning? What if I need a tooth pulled? Should I have skipped my pill this morning just to be safe? Did I forget to tell them I am on this? This is a very common moment of anxiety. You are trying to take care of your teeth, but you are also trying to protect your heart or your lungs from a clot. It feels like you are stuck between two risks. That specific moment of worry is why we are talking about this today on Pharmacist Online. We are going to walk through exactly how to handle dental work when you take these medications. Now, I have to say this up front. This is for your general knowledge. It is to help you ask the right questions. It is not your personal medical plan. Your own doctor and your dentist have to help you make the final call for your specific situation. Never stop or change your medication dose just because of something you heard in a video. The reason this topic is so stressful is that it involves two different medical worlds colliding. You have your dentist or oral surgeon who is worried about your mouth and the bleeding that happens during a procedure. Then you have your cardiologist or primary care doctor who is worried about preventing a stroke, a heart attack, or a blood clot in your lungs. Sometimes it feels like they are not talking to each other and you are the messenger stuck in the middle. We are going to fix that today. We are going to give you the language and the understanding to bridge that gap. Let's start with the biggest misconception people have. Many people think that if they have a dental appointment, the safest thing to do is just stop their blood thinner for a few days on their own. They think, better safe than sorry, right? I do not want to bleed all over the dentist's office. This is actually a dangerous way to think. Stopping your medication on your own can be as risky, if not riskier, than the procedure itself. Here is why. When you take a blood thinner, your body gets used to that medication keeping your clotting factors in check. If you stop the medication abruptly without a plan, your body can react. In some cases, your blood does not just go back to its normal clotting state. It can swing in the other direction. It can become what we call hypercoagulable. That is a fancy way of saying your blood becomes extra sticky and prone to clotting for a short period. This is sometimes called a rebound effect. If you stop your medicine to avoid a little bit of gum bleeding, you might be opening the door to a much more serious event like a stroke. That is why the decision to stop is never yours alone. It is a calculated math problem that your doctors have to solve. We need to look at how a safe plan is actually made. It starts with understanding that not all dental work is the same. The risk of bleeding changes drastically depending on what you are having done. If you are going in for a routine cleaning, x-rays, or a simple cavity filling, the risk of serious bleeding is usually very low. For these standard procedures, most cardiologists and dentists will agree that you should not stop your blood thinner at all. The minor bleeding that happens when they scrape tartar off your teeth or inject a little numbing agent is easily controlled. It might look like a lot of pink in the sink when you rinse, but it is rarely dangerous. However, if you are having a tooth extracted, a root canal, gum surgery, or a dental implant placed, the risk changes. These procedures involve deeper tissues and bone. They leave an open wound that needs to form a stable clot to heal. This is where the conversation gets serious. This brings us to a concept called bridging therapy. You might hear your doctor use this term, so I want to explain what it means in simple terms. Imagine your blood thinner is a bridge that carries you safely over a river of clotting risk. If you have to take that bridge down for surgery, you are left exposed to the river. Bridging therapy is like building a temporary, smaller bridge to keep you safe while the main bridge is under construction. Here is how it typically works for someone on Warfarin or Coumadin. Warfarin stays in your system for a long time. It takes days to wash out and days to build back up. So if you need major oral surgery, your doctor might tell you to stop the Warfarin a few days early, but they do not want you unprotected. So they might prescribe a different blood thinner, often a shot like enoxaparin or Lovenox, which acts very fast and leaves the system very fast. You take the shots while the Warfarin wears off. Then, you stop the shots just hours before the surgery. This minimizes the time you are without protection. Once the surgery is done and the bleeding is controlled, you restart your warfarin and maybe use the shots for a few more days until the warfarin kicks back in. For newer medications like apixaban, which is Eliquis, or rivaroxaban, which is Xarelto, the process is different. These drugs move through your body much faster. They do not linger like warfarin. Often, you do not need the shots for bridging. Instead, the bridge is just careful timing. Your doctor might tell you to simply skip the morning dose on the day of the surgery, or to skip one day prior. Because the medication leaves your system quickly, that short break is often enough to lower bleeding risk without leaving you exposed for too long. But here is the catch. You cannot make this schedule yourself. The timing depends on your kidney function, your age, and exactly why you are taking the thinner. A person with artificial heart valves has a much higher risk than someone who had a single clot in their leg 10 years ago. This brings us to the most important sentence you need to have ready. When you see a new dentist, or even your regular dentist for a new procedure, you must advocate for yourself. You cannot assume they know the details of your heart condition. You need to look them in the eye and say, I am on a blood thinner for atrial fibrillation, or I am on a blood thinner because I have a mechanical heart valve. Why is that for part so important? Because it tells the dentist the stakes. If you are on it for a mechanical valve, the risk of stopping the medicine is extremely high. The dentist needs to know that so they can coordinate with your cardiologist. If you just say, I take blood thinners, they might not realize how critical the timing is. Now let's talk about a difficult situation that happens more often than it should. You go to the dentist or oral surgeon, and they tell you, just stop your blood thinner for 3 days before you come in. They say it casually, like it is no big deal. They are focused on making sure their work area is clean and dry. They do not want to deal with excessive bleeding, but they are not the ones managing your heart. If a provider tells you to just stop it without consulting your prescribing doctor, that is a red flag. Do not just say okay. You need to pause the conversation. You can say something like this: I am not comfortable stopping this medication until my cardiologist agrees to the plan. Can we consult with them first? A good dentist will respect this. In fact, they should appreciate it. The standard of care today is for the dentist or surgeon to send a clearance form to your doctor. They write down what they plan to do, and your doctor writes back with instructions on how to handle the medication. If your dentist tries to pressure you to stop without that check, you have the right to wait. Your heart safety is the priority. Let's say you have the plan. The doctors talked. You followed the instructions. You had the tooth pulled. Now you are going home. This is where the anxiety often comes back. You are numb, your mouth feels swollen, and you taste blood. You might worry, is this normal? Or am I having a hemorrhage? It is vital to know what normal post-procedure bleeding looks like versus what a red flag looks like. When you have a tooth pulled while on blood thinners, some oozing is completely normal for the first 24 to 48 hours. Your saliva might look pink or red. This can be scary because a little bit of blood mixed with a lot of saliva looks like a lot of blood. It looks like a crime scene in the sink, but it is usually just a small amount. A red flag is different. A red flag is if your mouth is rapidly filling with blood. If you have to swallow constantly or spit out mouthfuls of pure dark red blood, that is not normal. Another red flag is what we call a liver clot. This is a graphic description, but you need to know it. If you look in your mouth or spit out something that looks like a dark, jelly-like blob that resembles a piece of raw liver, that means a large clot formed but is not sticking to the wound properly. If you see that, or if the bleeding is a steady stream like a faucet, you need help. But before you panic, there are things you can do at home to manage the normal oozing. The dentist will usually have you bite on gauze. The key here is pressure. You have to bite down firmly and keep the pressure constant. Do not chew on the gauze. Do not take it out every 5 minutes to check if the bleeding stopped. Every time you take it out, you rip away the delicate clot that is trying to form. Keep it in for 30 to 45 minutes at a time. If the gauze is not working, there is a trick that pharmacists and dentists have recommended for years: tea bags. Black tea contains something called tannic acid. Tannic acid helps blood clot and shrinks the blood vessels. Here's what you do. Take a regular black tea bag, wet it with warm water, squeeze out the excess water so it is damp but not dripping. Then, wrap it in a thin layer of gauze if you want, or just place the tea bag directly over the extraction site and bite down firmly. Hold it there for 30 minutes. The combination of pressure and the tannic acid is very effective. While you are recovering at home, you have to protect that clot. The clot is your body's natural bandage. If you lose it, you get what is called a dry socket, which is incredibly painful, and you start bleeding again. To protect the clot, you need to avoid creating suction in your mouth. This means absolutely no drinking through a straw. The sucking motion creates a vacuum that can pull the clot right out of the socket. You should also avoid spitting forcefully. If you need to empty your mouth, just let the liquid drool out into the sink over gravity. Do not spit. You also need to watch what you eat. Soft foods are best. Yogurt, applesauce, mashed potatoes. Avoid hot liquids like hot coffee or soup for the first day or two, because heat expands blood vessels and can encourage bleeding. Stick to cool or lukewarm foods. And stay away from anything sharp or crunchy, like chips or nuts that could poke the wound. Another thing to consider is pain management. You will probably be sore once the numbing wears off. This is tricky when you are on blood thinners. Most people reach for aspirin, or ibuprofen, which is Advil, or Motrin. Or maybe naproxen, which is Aleve. You have to be very careful with these. These drugs are NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. They also thin your blood and irritate your stomach lining. Taking them on top of a prescription blood thinner like Warfarin or Eliquis increases your bleeding risk significantly. Usually, the safest option for pain relief is acetaminophen, known as Tylenol, unless you have liver issues. Your dentist might prescribe a specific pain reliever, but always remind them you are on a blood thinner so they don't accidentally tell you to take ibuprofen. If you are unsure, call your pharmacist. They are the experts on drug interactions and can tell you exactly which over-the-counter pain pill is safe with your specific heart medication. We have covered a lot of ground, and we have more guides on topics like this on the channel. We have videos specifically about diet while on warfarin and how to manage side effects of other thinners. Those are great resources if you want to deepen your understanding of these medications. Let's go back to the timeline of your dental procedure. We talked about the preparation and the recovery. But what about the day of the appointment itself? There are a few logistical things that can make your life easier. Try to schedule your appointment in the morning. If you have the procedure done early in the day, you have the whole afternoon to monitor the bleeding. If a problem develops, you can call the dentist's office while they are still open. If you have a late afternoon appointment and you start bleeding heavily at 9 p.m., the office is closed, and you might end up in the emergency room just because you couldn't reach your dentist. Also, make sure you have your transport sorted out. Even if you are just having local anesthesia, the stress of the procedure combined with the change in your medication routine can make you feel lightheaded. It is always safer to have someone else drive you, especially if you had to stop your blood thinner and are bridging. You want to minimize stress on your body. Now I want to address the fear of the needle. Many people are scared of the injection the dentist gives to numb the gum. If you are on a blood thinner, you might worry that the needle itself will cause a hematoma or a pocket of blood in your cheek. This is possible, but dentists are trained to handle it. They use aspirating syringes that allow them to check if they are in a blood vessel before they inject. It is a safety feature built into the tool. You might get a bruise on your cheek or jaw that looks worse than it feels. It might turn purple or yellow a few days later. That is generally cosmetic and will fade. It does not mean something went wrong. It just means you bruise easily, which you probably already know. Let's talk about the long-term view. Dental health is actually very important for heart health. There is a strong link between gum disease and heart disease. Bacteria from your mouth can get into your bloodstream and affect your heart valves. So avoiding the dentist because you are afraid of the bleeding risk is not a good strategy. You need to keep your teeth and gums healthy to protect your heart. The key is just doing it safely with a plan. Do not let the fear of the what-if keep you from getting necessary care. If you have a tooth that is infected, that infection is a risk to your body. Dealing with the infection through a controlled extraction with a medication plan is much safer than letting the infection spread. So to summarize the framework we have built. First, assessment. Know what procedure you are having and ask if it is high risk or low risk for bleeding. Second, communication. Tell your dentist exactly why you take the thinner and ask them to coordinate with your prescribing doctor. Third, the plan. Follow the bridging or skipping instructions exactly. Do not freelance. Fourth, the recovery. Use tea bags, avoid straws, and watch for the liver clot. There is one more layer to this. Sometimes, despite all the best planning, bleeding happens. You are at home, it is late, and the gauze isn't working. When do you go to the ER? You go if you feel lightheaded, dizzy, or like you are going to pass out. That suggests you have lost more blood than you realize, or your blood pressure has dropped. You go if the bleeding is pumping. You go if you are having trouble breathing or swallowing because of swelling. In the ER, they have medications and special dressings that can stop bleeding instantly. It is better to go and be told you are fine than to stay home and lose too much blood. Also, keep a list of your medications in your wallet or on your phone. In an emergency, if you cannot speak, that list tells the doctors everything they need to know. Include the name of the drug, the dose, and the last time you took it. If you stopped it for the dental procedure, write down "stopped" on Tuesday for dental work. That note is incredibly valuable information for an ER doctor. Managing your health on these medications is a skill. It is something you learn and get better at over time. You learn how your body reacts. You learn how quickly you bruise. You learn to speak up to your doctors. It is normal to feel overwhelmed at the start. You are learning a whole new vocabulary of medical terms and risks, but you are capable of managing this. Soon, we will talk about how travel affects your blood clot risk and how to manage your medications when you are on a long flight or road trip, so subscribe if you want to see that. It is another situation where planning ahead makes all the difference. Finally, if you or a family member is just starting this medication, it can feel overwhelming. To tie it all together, Video 10 is a 30-day starter checklist to build confidence from day one. It walks you through the first month, day by day, so you don't miss a step. Look for that video next to get a solid foundation. You can do this. Stay safe, ask questions, and take care of yourself.